Thank you for being here on a difficult day for us. I want to begin by publicly thanking and expressing my admiration and respect for Brad Lambert, both personally and professionally. He's an amazing person, and he came here. I looked it up this morning. We announced his appointment on March 11th, 2011, which means you can do the math. He spent 7.5 years helping us launch and build our program to this point. I said at the time he was a man of energy and character and integrity, and he was as advertised. Never disappointed us in how he represented this institution. And when Brad joined us, he did so at considerable risk professionally and personally in terms of his income, choosing to build an FCS program instead of waiting for the Power 5 opportunity that inevitably would have come his way. Who would come to Charlotte when we had no team, no students, no coaches, no stadium, no budget, but nothing but a plan to develop a football program? And he worked for 2.5 years to get us off the ground until that first victory against Campbell in 2013. Brad was one of the first to endorse our movement to FBS when we were invited to join Conference USA in 2015. And I say that because he knew that it would make his job more difficult. But he endorsed it because he knew it was in the best interest of the program and the best interest of the university over the long term. I knew when Mike Hill was hired that there would be tough decisions ahead. We knew that with respect to men's basketball and eventually football, perhaps. He was hired to make hard decisions, and that includes this one. I fully support his thinking, and he'll talk about the decision, but also with respect to its timing. So with that, let Mike have his, and then we'll take your questions.
Thank you, Chancellor Dubois. Just want to echo his comments about Brad. This is what we call the burden of leadership. When you have to make a really difficult decision in the best interest of the organization, even though you know that it's hurtful to people. These are real people involved, coaches and families, and it affects a lot of lives. And so it's not a decision that you make lightly. But in the end, it's crucial as an athletics director to take a look at a program as a whole and assess where you're headed, where you're going. And it doesn't matter how much you like the person. And let me tell you, Brad Lambert, there's no better human being you're ever going to meet. It was maybe the most difficult conversation that I've ever had to have professionally. However, you have to divorce yourself from those emotions to make the decision that's in the best interest of the organization. And so that is what we did. It is something that is, again, difficult for coaches and for staff and certainly for some of the kids on the team as well, and maybe even some of our fans who may not fully understand the decision. But I can assure everyone that it was not a decision that we made lightly. In respect to the timing of the decision, some may question that as well, and why now? Why not wait a week and play one more game, get through Thanksgiving week, and finish the season? Quite frankly, this reminds me a lot of when we hired Ron Sanchez as our men's basketball coach. And when I started here on March 15th, the NCAA tournament was just beginning. And I told the Chancellor, we cannot afford to wait, and he agreed. We had to get on it immediately. And so in this instance, we are competing, right? We're competing for the best coaches in the country. And there are other schools who've already made decisions to release their coaches. There were some over the weekend in addition to us. Some previous to us, happened 3 and 4 weeks ago, who've already hired new coaches. And so there will be another wave this weekend, and we needed to get ahead of this because, again, it's in the best interest of this program is why we do that. Now, I'm not a believer in operating in a way that is deceptive to an employee or a coach, and I was not going to conduct a search behind Brad's back this week. It's not right. And so I felt it was best to be honest and respectful to Brad and make that decision and tell him that decision as soon as possible so that we could begin the search and be transparent about it. So that is why the timing of the decision was what it was. But we're excited about moving forward, excited about hiring a coach who we believe can now build upon a great foundation that Brad and his staff have built, and we move onward and upward for the 49ers football program.
Two questions. One, had they won Saturday, would you have made the same decision, you know, considering they would be competing for a bowl this week? And two, what did you see that was lacking in the program that made you decide that this is the direction you wanted to go?
Sure. So you may recall, some of you may recall earlier in the year when I was asked, what are you looking for? And I said, you know, we're certainly looking for progress, but we're also looking, it's never about just 1 or 2 games, ever. And in fact, a lot of times it's not about a season in particular, because some great programs might have an aberration and a down season. But in this instance, the same is true. This is not about 1 or 2 games. Well, gosh, if they just won 1 more, this is about the trajectory of the program, right? And so the decision was made based on that. We're looking to build some momentum for the program, and certainly part of that is in the world of recruiting. It takes great players to make a great program, and that's a piece of this. But we needed a fresh start to be able to gain some momentum for our football program to get to where we aspire to be.
Mike, is there a time frame, timetable for when you want to get this done?
You know, would love to hire someone immediately, as soon as possible, but we'll be smart about it. It's you know, Chris Fuller and I have talked about this. It's amazing. Institutions, athletic departments, the most important hires that we make, we have to hurry up and make them with almost no time to fully vet and learn about people, right? And so it makes it a challenge, and these are high-dollar employees. So we'll be thorough, we'll be deliberate, but we'll also move as expeditiously as possible, which is why we made the decision yesterday to go ahead and begin. I can't put a time. I honestly don't have a timetable on it. Clearly, we have an early signing date in December. I think it's the 19th. And would like to have some resolution before then if we could, but we're going to hire the right person. And so in the end, if it takes longer than that, no one should panic in our fan base that, oh my gosh, December 19th is come and gone. I would also ask our fans and all of our constituents to keep in mind that this is when we get into sort of the silly season, as they say, in terms of rumors. You'll see and hear a lot of rumors on social media, in talk radio, throughout the entire country, because this is a job that actually has a lot of interest from coaches. Don't believe anything you see or read or hear until we introduce a new coach. Because if you say, well, boy, they're chasing so-and-so, and he turned them down, he walked away, almost always that's false. That's my experience in these searches. So again, fans, hear me. Trust us that when we introduce a coach, that's when it's time to know who the coach is. It's fun to speculate, but the reality is that most of that is misinformation.
So what are you going to be looking for in a new coach?
You know, there's some similar characteristics to when we hired Ron Sanchez that I think are really important here, and number one starts with what Brad delivered and what the Chancellor referred to, and that is character and integrity. I think in today's age, it's absolutely crucial, because we have stated here clearly that our number one goal and the reason we exist here is to develop our student athletes. And I think the schools that forget that and get it backwards are the schools that get in trouble. And so they are our priority, and we need to hire someone who is committed to our student athletes. We need to find somebody who is a proven recruiter and a proven developer of talent. Again, I refer back to Ron Sanchez. I think that's a model that works for football as well in terms of crucial characteristics that we have to have in a new head football coach. I think fit is very important as well, and being able to fit into the culture that we're building here, and someone who understands how important culture is. Programs that have excellent culture are the programs that typically have the most success. You know, the old saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, I'm a big believer in that. And so that will be a point of emphasis as well.
Would you prefer someone with prior head coaching experience, or a hot assistant like Coach Sanchez was to come and kind of take over and start fresh?
Yeah, no preconceived notions here. I think we will take a look at, we'll look at head coaches, we'll look at assistant coaches as well at various levels. I don't want to box ourselves in at this point. The search is barely a day old. Clearly, we've given some thought to what ifs if this day were to come. But in terms of the process, I think that we need to be open right now and narrow it down, which is what we did when we hired Coach Sanchez.
What makes this an attractive job nationally? There's been a lot of chatter about what it is, and what will you tell any candidate what's next on the horizon for you guys in terms of facilities or culture that you're trying to build?
What's not to love about this opportunity? This university, led by this chancellor who's so incredibly supportive of athletics, and our board as well. So you have to have support from leadership at the very top to have a successful program. We have that. We have an incredible campus, a beautiful campus that I've said many times would fit within any Power 5 conference in the country. 30,000 students, okay? So you've got great student base there to draw from, alumni base, tens of thousands of alums who live within an hour of the city. We have a world-class city in our backyard. We have light rail. We have an incredible recruiting base in this city and in this state. And so there's so much that we have to offer here. Facility, we have a beautiful stadium, and it's built so that one day we can expand that stadium. And we're currently undergoing an athletics facilities master plan study that will be complete here in 6 to 9 months, and we'll also take a look at what could be done at football in phases maybe down the road when we're ready to do that, when we're filling the stadium. But the point is this, there's so much to offer here that I think it is absolutely a gold mine for a prospective head coach.
There will be considerable interest. I got in the office at 7 this morning, and by 7:45 I had 2 emails and a phone call from people interested in the job, and what I told them was, call that guy.
Your football program, obviously you guys are looking to go, make it take the next step, but are you happy where the program is right now since you started it and where it is today, how it's evolved?
Well, I think we have found football on balance to be a net positive in almost every respect. You know, we started it with a few things in mind, enhancing the collegiate experience for our students, making a better connection to our alumni, getting greater visibility in the community. When you take all those things into consideration, I think we're well down the road. No one's satisfied all the time with everything, but I was proud that we got somebody of Brad's caliber to lead the program, and as Mike said, we're now ready for that next future development stage.
Mike, when you're meeting with coaches, what do you share with them as maybe a future vision you see for this program within the conference, goals of joining another conference? What do you share with them, what you think his expectations could be for this program?
Our expectations here are very clear. Number one, again, we're here to provide the best possible experience for our student athletes. Number two, we're looking for someone who's going to do things the right way with integrity and character and treat people with respect and kindness. Number three, we're here to engage our fan base, right, so that our fans and our alums and our donors and our constituents want to come back to campus and be a part of this football program. And last, and certainly but not least, we're here to compete for championships, right? And so, you know, being okay, we say around here, being just okay is not okay. We're here to compete for championships. And so I see no reason why we can't be competing for championships in Conference USA in football. Now, it's a good football league, and there are a lot of programs that have far more experience than we do. We're still infants. We've played football for 6 seasons. You know, we're competing against some schools that have played football for 60, 70, 80, 90 years. And everybody wants to fast forward to the end result, and it's not how it works. But I do believe that the vision that we have to share for all of our sports, not just for football, is that we should be competing on a regular basis for conference championships and for postseason appearances.
Mike, having gone through this at Florida and watching this process up close, how are you feeling heading into this process for you, and what did you learn from those experiences?
I learned so much from being a part of searches in various sports, and from my mentors. Jeremy Foley at Florida was an incredible leader and led some great searches, and certainly working with Scott Strickland as well these last few years. Just being a part of those searches and understanding sort of the ups and downs of how they work sometimes. Very rarely do searches go according to plan, step 1, step 2, step 3, bang, you've got your coach. There are twists and turns along the way, and I think going into it, having had that experience and having been prepared at the University of Florida gives me confidence that we can run a competent search here. We have a great staff of people. I feel good about our staff who will be involved in this and help us run a search that's effective and efficient to deliver a coach that our program deserves.
This whole couple of days has reaffirmed my decision about picking Mike Hill to be athletic director. Yesterday would have been the worst day of his professional life. And he did it in a way not only respectfully to Brad, but he met with all the coaches, he met with the team, met with the other staff members, called almost all the recruits, and then we end up here. But this is the end of the story. It doesn't tell you the backstory about how hard this is to do and what a fine way Mike represented his position as athletic director in making this tough decision.
Meeting with the team was really special because I went in after Coach Lambert spoke to the guys first, and they gave him a rousing ovation, and well-deserved. That shows you the respect they have for him as a man, as a leader, and I'm proud of the guys that are in that room. I think they represent our program well. There's a lot of leadership in there, and I just asked them that at this time, it's a difficult time, so they need to lean on one another, they need to lean on our staff, and to be there to try to send Coach Lambert out the right way on Saturday when we play FAU. We're right in the middle of ACC and country and SEC country, and then there's some other really good programs in the Group of Five in this state. So that's a challenge, but at the same time, I see this as a strength. We are the FBS Division I program in the city of Charlotte, and it's time to put our flag in the ground and recruit that way. We should own this city. We should own this area. And of course, some of the Power 5 schools will come in and cherry pick top players out of the region. I'm not naive to that. But I do firmly believe that we can compete with some of these other programs to get some of the best talent. Why would you not want to come to school here? Really, for us, the challenge is just getting them to campus. And once they come to campus, they're blown away by it. They are blown away by these experiences. Fortunately, I have a chance to, and often the Chancellor has a chance to visit with some recruits when they come in on a visit, on a game day, and across the board, the people who visit are stunned at the size and the scope and the beauty of this place, the facilities, and the prospect of living in a great place like Charlotte. So I see huge advantages here, and don't really worry about the competition. That's just a part of the world we live in.
Chancellor, a question for you in regards to the alumni support and perhaps donors and that sort of thing. Was there any kind of maybe rumblings over the past couple of years? Not because, I agree, it doesn't hinge on one game or one season. Was there a direction that you were maybe getting signals saying that some of the folks behind the scenes wanted some change?
You know, fans are entitled to opinions. Donors are entitled to their opinions, and I respect that. I'm a fan. I've got an opinion about my favorite pro teams, but in the end, there was zero pressure. Zero pressure. This was about making the right decision for the program, even though it was difficult to make the decision, and wasn't about hearing from donors or hearing from season ticket holders. It was the sense that I had and felt after experiencing, my first season here. And until that time, I couldn't fully assess it until I experienced a full season of football here at Charlotte. Part of your job as an athletics director is to have a list of potential candidates for multiple sports in case, because you never know if a coach leaves unexpectedly. So sure, I have some names in mind. Our staff, we have some names in mind that we want to look at, but there's no slam dunk. Here's who we're going to hire today. I would say we're going to get to work in earnest now. As I said earlier, wasn't going to conduct a search behind Brad's back. And so we waited until the appropriate time, and now we'll get after it. But yes, there are some names that I have in mind, and we'll get after it here now.
Did you get any kind of sense from the players, understanding, anger, kind of general feeling from their team?
Yeah, they were respectful. They listened to me. They were very respectful and were dialed in to every word that I said, really. And when you've got a room of 100+ people, that's hard to do. Usually people fall asleep when I'm talking to them, but they were dialed in and listening, and they were very respectful. I didn't sense any overriding anger. I'm sure there's somebody in the room who is angry. I'm sure there's some kids who are upset. That'd be shocking out of 100+ people if there weren't any. But I did not feel a bad vibe in the room when I met with them. And I've got a really good relationship with a lot of those guys. And I have so much respect for them and what they've done and what they've built. Brad and his staff have built this, but so have the players. that they're the ones who, they also took a chance to come here and be the part of a first ever FBS program, and so we salute them and those seniors. And there's some special people in that senior class that just played their last home game on Saturday. So, in fact, I'm having a conversation with one of our players a little bit later this afternoon, someone who I will remain nameless, but who I have a ton of respect for. And he sent me a really nice text last night, and he just wanted a few minutes of my time today, and he's going to get that.
Was the entire staff dismissed?
So the entire staff is still in place. They will remain working for the Niners, recruiting, doing all the things that are necessary to manage the program until we hire a new coach. Because oftentimes a new coach will come in and potentially retain some people. And so it's a bit of an audition. And at the same time, those guys are pros. The assistant coaches I met with, the room there, those are big-time people, and they understand that to comport themselves the right way in difficult times is the way to go about it.
Will any of their coordinators have an opportunity to apply for the head coach position?
We've not restricted any opportunity for anyone to pursue the job.